These candidates, as you well know, have spent a lot of time and effort putting out signs, walking the streets, shaking hands, and kissing babies, and sometimes hitting backwards, but nevertheless, they put a lot of work into it. We're down to the final few days of the ones that will represent the Republican Party of Pickens County in the fall election. And I don't think I have to tell anybody in this room how important this fall election is. I don't know what the crowd in Washington is up to, but it looks like some of them are going to take us the way that the communists took to Russia back about 78 years ago. Do away with the middle class. That's how you do it. There's been whistling about it. The middle class has got to stop. Because that is our job. That is what's made this country great. Is a middle class that works hard, saves their money, buys their own home, send their kids off to college, go to church every Sunday. That's the middle class. And it's time the middle class stood up. Took this government back from the people who tried to control it. That's what this process is about. We have two fine candidates that have ended up in the runoff for post number 1, the West, on Pickens County. And there will be a vote a week from today. Who will represent the Republican Party come November from post 1. And so I'm glad you're here tonight to listen to them. I was told that at somewhere around 8:30 or 7:30, Tom Graves is going to come by in a moment. I have not confirmed that, except with Kev Bowman, who is our program person. So if he does, fine. If he don't, we understand. After that, at 8 o'clock, via the little TV thing, and I hope you can see it better tonight than last time we were here, we will have a debate between Joe Hendricks and Allison Sosebee for the runoff in the DA's race. And if you want to stay, I've been told that immediately after that, there'll be a debate on Judge Gaines with Doug Collins and Martha Zoll. So if you want to stay with that, you can. That's getting close to my bedtime, so I may have to all go there. I'll fall asleep here. But nevertheless, we're going to start the day. Tell you the way we set this program up. These are two fine gentlemen, and I didn't want to ambush them. We have 5 questions that we talk to various people in the county, people from the newspaper, different people who are in positions to know, and ask them to give us 5 questions that they thought was pertinent to the people of Pickens County. And we glean those down because a lot of them mean different things. But we have 5 questions that we're going to ask both candidates. And they will give an answer to that. They can take 3 to 4 minutes, 5 if they choose to give them their answer. They have already seen the questions, so they're not surprised. They have a chance to look up things to look at. And that's only fair to them to think about it. It's not trying to shoot from the hip. Because it is important who is going to be voting and who will be running Pickens County. God needs our help and gift. God took it right. Well, you're standing up the whole time. But seriously, we're going to let them answer and do it in a very respectful manner. Once again, I call on Jimmy Swain to kind of do masculine ceremonies. He will be asking questions. I will be keeping up with the time. If they know about 4 minutes, I'll give them a second that they need to manage today. So without further ado, Jimmy Swain.
As Bill mentioned, we have 5 questions. And I'll start with Jerry Barnes first. And then on question number 2, we'll go into reverse order. Number 1, how would you feel about contracting to private companies services that are now provided by county employees?
There are some cases that this might work with a temporary or a seasonal job, but I am not in favor of doing this on any other county job. If you've been with the Hinton Fire Department during all of the catastrophic situations we've been in over the past years, you would recognize what kind of job these people do. And it's their heart, it's in their heart what they do. 93 we had the blizzard, Palm Sunday in 94, the tornado, Hurricane Oak in 95, the tornado in 2011. All these departments work together like a fine-tuned machine. Pickens County Fire, EMS, 911, Sheriff's Department, the Road Department, and all the volunteer departments. These people work nonstop to get the job done.
Excuse me, Jerry, could you stand up? We can't see you.
I can't for that.
Step to the side.
Thanks, buddy.
But if you were in our shoes and see what they've done and how they work and took their job to heart, you wouldn't trust anybody else to do what the county's tried changing EMS in the past. They come back to our own people. The DeKalb County just tried it a few years ago, and this past year they went back to the county runoff. So, and these folks pay taxes in Pickens County too. And I want to note the volunteers too. We got a lot good volunteer group in Pickens County. We don't have to pay them. They work for nothing.
Marty?
As a group of Republicans, in nature, we're conservative. We lean toward the private industry and corporations as a leader in our country. The other party leans the other way. But in local government, unless it substantially benefits the county taxpayers in our pockets, we need to stick with county employees in their jobs. That we contract, whether it's to build a building like this, when we can do this, if they're qualified to do that. We need to stick with our local employees that have training and expertise to do it. Even though private industry is what a Republican conservative would like to be, we still need to stick to our local county government employees to do what they can do if they're qualified to do it. Like Jerry said, in emergency situations when substantial income and services have been lost, like a tornado, you still need your regular employees to do your day-to-day operations. You're still going to need roads to be paved. You're still going to need the water system to be working. So then you may have to go outside the county to contract private industry to maintain and do a lot of this work. But you still don't want to give up your day-to-day operations. So I still believe we need local employees to do most of our projects. Because jobs right now, or every one we lose is awful. And we need to keep as many local county people working as we can. So, no, we do not need to hire out the private company unless it benefits taxpayers and our tax base.
Do you feel that it would be best for Pickens County to merge the two water departments into one department? If yes, how would you go about doing it? Marty?
The water, we talked about several issues in these forums and campaigns we've had. And water, jobs, were ranked up there at the top 2 or 3. Several years ago, we talked about, 25 years ago, moving a reservoir. And we didn't have that happen. We passed it on and went somewhere else. I think we need to revisit that again and look at that. We're trying to get water as a group of folks who put together to work on Carter's Dam. The water wars of the federal government's putting some kinks into that. I'm not sure when we're going to get to see the fruits and labors of that anytime soon. Maybe Congressman Grace can enlighten us on that when he talks. But the water system in the county and the city that we have now are great systems. The county has come a long way in the last 10 to 15 years. The city system has been beneficial to the city for a very long time. Combining the systems would be a great asset, but also we want to consider not just it being a county-run department or a city-run department, but what about an authority? Where you still have authority would run local people working with them. You still keep the same people that are working now in your local water, city and county, but take the politics out of it. Now, you're not completely going to be able to take out the politics of water. It's every county, every city, every state. Every day there's something to do with water. But the authorities are proven to be, I've researched, much more efficient than your government when it deals with water. Now, I'm not saying that that's the way I was going to go there, but I'd like to see a study done to see. The bottom line is, if we combine the county with what we're doing now by getting water from other sources, Carter's Lake, or the city, where the city gets their water, but we have enough. Can the county and the city tell you you have enough water to run your business, to run your people in your local town? Whether it's the city commercial district or whether it's the county, the county serves. That's the first question I ask. Do we have enough?
Jerry?
This would be a question being possible answer until we get the commissioners together, the mayor together, and decide that this is something they want to do. Because they both have so big an interest. The City of Jasper's water service area is cut Pickens County nearly in half. So this is the first thing we have to do. Then at that time, we'll do a thorough feasibility study and see what we're going to have to do this, what we're going to have to do to make it happen. Water supply is a big thing. We are assigned some water from Carter's Lake once the water wars get all squared away. And I think there's stuff going on in Murray County, maybe to buy their certificate. They're getting 2 million gallons a day out of Carter's Lake. And they're thinking about selling it or getting turned over to someone else. That's another option. Right now we're getting all our water, practically all our water, I think, is from Gordon County. Approximately 500,000 gallons a day. They have offered to go up to 1.5 million gallons a day, which that's going to be a triple the amount of water we can get from them. The only thing we're not sure about the lines that's coming from that direction, whether they're big enough to carry that much water anytime we get to that amount. What we needed on the infrastructure, doing all these changes from to one authority will make. We're going to have to put how many lines we're going to have to put, how much other things we're going to have to change. That's going to affect it in the long run. And the cost for this, that's another thing we got to look at. I mean, it's a big project problem if we have to put these new lines. Right now, unless we can do all this, there's no way I don't think it's going to happen for a while. It may be something we need to look at in the future. Thank you.
What is your view on eliminating school taxes on citizens that are over 65 years of age? If yes, how would you replace the lost income, or would you reduce services? Jerry?
It's a great idea, but with the economy the way it is right now, it's going to be hard for this to happen. Yuma County has tried this, and it's about busted them. Cobb County's school system had a $127 million deficit when they went to theirs went from age 62 and exempted them. But the school system suffered on that point. What I would recommend is to gradually, once the economy starts turning around, that we could gradually increase that exemption from $25,000 now, maybe to $5,000 the next year, or maybe to $35,000 the next year. But this would be the only way we could do it and not get into trouble with some of these other counties.
Marty?
It's amazing how we agree on a lot of these things, and our numbers are even close to the same. A study needs to be done. I've talked to several people, tax offices, school boards, especially in the last couple of weeks, about the level we're at now and where we could go to. We're 25,000 now. I'd like to see a possible plan where we would go with about $5,000 on that 25,000 income over the next 4 years, 5 years, and get it up to around $50,000 if it's feasible with working with the school board and see where we are. If we took a big cut right now and said, all right, everybody under 100,000 or under 200,000, we'd be closing the school across the street and one more elementary. I don't think we can do that right now. And my daughter is at the Monica playing basketball right now. My wife's coaching a game up in Fannin. So I've got public school interest so far, before I go anything about tax. So that's a big issue and it hits a lot of homes. How many of you went to school in Pickens County? High school. So just remember when you talk about reducing your tax in the school and your services, to save a little on your property taxes. Think about that. That's where the question comes from. But I wouldn't mind seeing a program where we develop a little tax credit for somebody. If you're going to take away dollars from my school system, I'd like to see you come back into our schools and mentor into our program where a kid. If you're going to take away dollars from our tax base, people are living longer. 65 used to be everybody retired now. People are living longer and they're working longer. They're working into their 70s. They're wanting to give back. They're wanting to volunteer. Let's get them back into the system. Let them put money back. We'll give them a tax break. We want you to help us in our schools and our county. Volunteer at the thrift store. Volunteer mentoring at the school. That's what we need. This vision right there about how we're going to do our taxes.
How do you see the county government helping grow jobs in Pickens County? Marty?
All right. We must empower
Our local development authorities, which we have several now, and they're already active in their roles that we're doing today. I sit on one myself, and have for several years. The authorities are a great taxing agent to attract businesses, to give tax abatements to companies that come in, or to existing companies to offer a incentive to expand the plant. Say Royston down here to add a couple thousand square feet, 10,000, 100,000. Tax abatement is something you would give them an incentive to do that. The county and the city now are working on a joint tax abatement plan. I was talking this morning with our economic development, and they were talking about that this morning. That's in the works. But we have to take advantage of the resources we already have. We're limited in water, we know that, but we have a great college, a great training objective there. We've always used in the past. We've got one of the finest healthcare systems, Piedmont, over here on the highway. What county in North Georgia has that kind of facility? The quality of life, our airport, which it has had some issues, but it's coming around. We have a great airport we need to be selling more of, because it's a, if you talk to anybody that flies, we have a jewel over there, and we need to be taking advantage of that. We're not selling that airport. It's sitting over there where we need to be selling it more. It's an asset. And then go over there on the highway and go up down 515 on a Friday. It used to be Friday and Sunday. Now it's about every day, especially on a Friday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. There's people coming up from Cobb, Fulton, Cherokee, going right through here, and they're looking for something. They're looking for the getaway. They're looking for the next getaway. We need to provide that tourism. Get the railroad going between Tate and Talking Rock, then enliven the downtown area. Bring jobs in for tourism. Those things empower jobs. We can't get 100 people planted because we don't have a lot of the resources, but we can add. We can go to the employer that's got 2 or 3 people back here and say, how can we hire another 2 or 3 more people? Job match. We've got to match our jobs up with these employers. It's hard to get where we can't compete with 100 job plant line. We don't have the floor. We got to start thinking outside the box. This is a tough economy, and we've got to find the different things.
Jerry?
I agree with Marty as far as getting this thing going. We're going to have to put this in high gear, or we're going to lose more and more of our people that have been here, who have run businesses for years and years, and we can't afford that. We've got too many good people that we lost over the past few years. The tax abatements and the other tax incentives is the only way we're going to get business in here. That's what they're looking for. We need to utilize some of our retired people. I know the economic development people work hard, but we've got retired folks here who've been in business all their life and can help us do some of the legwork. Go to counties that's got something that's working. Go to the next state if they've got a county that's got business that's really working. But that's what we need to do. We need to get the ball rolling. Even if the county has to spend a little more money, we need to get it on the move and get these people jobs. I've got a son who's living in Louisville, Kentucky now because there wasn't no jobs for him here. And 2 grandkids that I won't say bad. But this is the thing we need to do to get this going.
Would you encourage growth in Pickens County, such as residential, commercial retail, light industrial?
First of all, we need to go with light industrial. We need jobs here now. We have houses here below are sitting empty, foreclosed on them, businesses that's closed down. We just need to get people to work. Once the jobs have come back, we will see an increase in the sales. Home values will start to go back up when we start getting these houses filled. Foreclosures will slow down. The biggest reason that people have left these houses because they'll never see getting the things paid for. They can go let the house go back, buy another one for about 60% of what it costs to build that. And once we get these jobs going, it's going to fill these houses back up. It's going to fill these commercial buildings back up. And it's be the first thing I do is as far as getting going.
Let's give both of these candidates a round of applause. We thank you for your participation. You'll be around to answer any questions afterwards. Bill?
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you both, Marty and Jerry. As you know, we've got two fine candidates. The choice is the vote, the choice is yours. And I'd like to emphasize what both of them said about jobs. Over 70% of the jobs in this country come from people who have businesses that are less than 50 employees. It's not the big corporations that provide the jobs for the most of us, and especially here in Pickens County. So yes, things have got to be done to attract businesses so we have those jobs. And gentlemen, we're going down the right track. Tonight we are privileged, I told you that I thought we had our congressman coming. And for those of you who live in the West, he will continue to be your congressman. And I know you look forward to hearing from him. He's done a lot of good things in Washington. He's very conservative. He fights even though he loses a lot. He doesn't give up. He comes right back to the next fight with the same vigor that he left off on the last one, even if he lost it. I'll give you our congressman from the 14th, Tom Graves.
Well, thank y'all for letting me join you tonight. And I tell you, to the guys in the runoff, and I know the congressional races in the runoff, there's a DA's race in the runoff, I have a special appreciation for you. After going through all of our elections and all of our runoffs, I know it's hard when the finish line's set out there and you're running, you get through the finish line, they say, no, keep going. The line moved a little bit, you got a little bit further to go. So only 7 more days, and it's all done. But I want to thank y'all for your willingness to stay in the fight and do what's best for your community here. Well, let me just thank you for, in 2006, you gave me an opportunity to represent you, and I want to thank you for that. It means a lot to me and Julie and our kids that you entrusted us with your vote in the State House, and I know now you've got another voice, and that's Mr. Jaspers here is doing an amazing job, a great job, and he is my state representative now, which is pretty neat, and that goes all the way up into Murray County. You've got a great team, of course, the commissioner's been a great friend too, a great supporter of ours. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about Washington, and the good, the bad, the ugly, I suppose. We're 84 days away. Think about that, 12 weeks away from determining the future of this nation. I mean, that's all it is. It comes down to the next 12 weeks. Mitt Romney has just unveiled one of the most important decisions he would make through the campaign, and that is who his VP running mate would be. What do y'all think about Paul Ryan? You guys have a good Paul Ryan? I'm here to tell you, Paul Ryan is the real deal. He's solid, he's steady, he's conservative, he's a great communicator, strong family man. He's been in office 14 years. You say, man, he must be a career politician. He's 42 years old. Can you believe that? He was elected when he was 28 to Congress, and now has been serving there for 14 years. The committee, the budget committee is what he chairs, and that's really where he's made a name for himself. You'll learn this about Paul, that he's an economist. And a lot of folks don't know that. He's a numbers guy. He's an analytical. He's considered a policy wonk. He's not political, really, in any way whatsoever. He is truly principally based. He makes decisions based on principle foremost, and that is it. And that's why the decisions you see him put forward, or the ideas, or the proposals, the solutions, it's all about solving the problem. And this is where the left really hates Paul Ryan, because he takes the biggest problems and he applies the biggest, boldest solution to match the problem. And you think about that's how an economist thinks. They're problem solvers. You got an equation, and there's always going to be an answer. It may take 1 page, it may take 10 pages, but he's going to come to the answer, and it's usually comes down to one answer. I can tell you that Paul has studied all the different ideas and concepts out there of how to fix the mess we have in Washington, and he concludes that the best way to move forward are the proposals that he put forward, starting with the path to prosperity. First, there was a roadmap for America. I don't know if you remember that. That was early on. That was back in Paul's earlier days. A roadmap for America. This isn't anything new that he's done. And then he moved forward into what's called the path for prosperity. And that's what we should all be about, right? Prosperity. We have an administration that seems to be totally against prosperity because they want to take your prosperity and give it to someone else. And the logic is that that'll make somebody else prosperous. But we know that doesn't work. That's a Keynesian economic theory. Well, Paul Ryan, he's a free market economist, and he knows that if you empower the people, you empower the private sector, you leave more money in their hands, things will be much better, the economy will flourish, and America will be back where we know she should be right now. So Paul Ryan's going to do a great job, but expect him to get hit. I mean, it's going to be time and time again. You notice the president himself now is targeting Paul Ryan. It's almost like Mitt Romney's not there right now. He is so intimidated by the proposals that Paul Ryan has put forward that the president is attacking him directly right now. And that should tell us a whole lot about the stature of Paul Ryan. And Paul Ryan actually took on the president one-on-one in a meeting. We had a private meeting. It was right before I came into office. And it was a Republican conference, and the president invited him over. And Paul Ryan just stood up and just confronted him on the proposals he was putting forward and illustrated time and time again how it didn't work, math didn't add up, this and that, and challenged the president. This was probably about 3.5, 4 years ago, right after the president had come in. Yeah, it was right after he'd come in. So Paul Ryan's going to be that kind of bulldog, that fighter that we need on the ticket. So 84 days to go. We have to ask ourselves as Republicans, we've been through this primary process, we've got the runoffs going on right now. They're going to conclude next week. But we got to ask ourselves, are we ready to come back together after that and move forward to beat this guy? Because America, the future of our nation, really is residing on or relying on what we do as Republicans. And I'm here to tell you, it's not just because we're titled Republicans, it's about the philosophy. And sometimes we forget that. You know, somebody says, what are you, a Republican or Democrat? We say, we're a Republican. But sometimes they don't ask, well, why are you a Republican? And maybe sometimes we don't even communicate why we are Republicans. But Republicans are all about what America is founded on, those limited government principles. Really, you know, the central part of it being adherence to the Constitution, but all about a limited government, lower taxes, promoting personal responsibility, and liberty and justice for all. Those are the simple tenets of what we believe. And that's really what most Americans believe. And I've stood up in town halls before, and I've asked those things, how many of y'all believe in this, this, and this? The whole room will go up. And then with their arms up, and I'll say, now how many are Democrats in this room? Part of the room will raise their hand. And I'll say, well, welcome to the Republican Party. You know, we got to be able to communicate that and share that. But look, you believe like we believe. It's all about the future of our nation for the next generation. It's not about the next election. Sometimes we get locked into those partisan battles, but it's really about the next generation. Y'all know I have 3 children. They're very involved in what we do and about every aspect of our life, whether it's in D.C. or whether it's on the campaign trail. And they get it. You know, even my son, and I share this story a lot because of how practical, this is how a 12-year-old thinks. We were debating allowances, and have y'all done that? I guess there's, you ever debated allowances? Anybody done that? Did you win? Yeah? Usually parents come on bad into this one, right? You pay, you get a little service. But my son said, Dad, I don't understand. Why would you pay me to do something I should already be doing? Doesn't that take away from what Mom can buy groceries with? Now you think about that, that's economic theory right there. They get it, they get it. Then he adds to that, and he says, wouldn't it be better if I made something and sold it? See, what he understands is oftentimes what the left doesn't understand, is that the pie is only so big. You can either add to it or you can keep cutting it up. They want to cut it up until there's nothing but crumbs left, and then take more from everybody else to give out to everyone else. But even a 12-year-old gets it and says, no, why don't you just make the pie bigger? And that's what we're talking about from an economic perspective. When we talk about job creation, well, let's just grow the economy. Jobs will follow. Now, I hear the commissioners, candidates here ask about what would you do about job growth. You know, it's unfortunate that I don't know if there's much they can do because the oppressiveness is put on by the federal government on the job creators. There is really no ability to grow the economy right now. So it's like an elected leader shouldn't even be put in the position of creating jobs because it's not government's role to create jobs. When that happens, you get big government. That's what Barack Obama, when he talks about he's creating 2 million jobs, yeah, it's more government, more agencies, more bureaucracies. But we're about creating private sector jobs, which only occurs when you expand the economy. The greatest analogy of that is you go to a business leader and you ask them, did you sit down at the beginning of the year and say, hey, I want to create 10 jobs this year? They never start out that way. They always say, I want to increase sales by 10%, 20%, 30%. They know that jobs are created when they do that. So we need to be talking about, let's just grow the economy. So how do we do that? one, we've got to get energy policy back in this nation. We do not have an energy policy. We have an energy agenda by the administration. Moratoriums on drilling, standing in the way of Keystone Pipeline, dependent on foreign nations to supply our oil, going to Brazil and saying we want to be your best customer. That's the agenda that's coming out of the White House right now. And yet we see what's happening. Fuel prices are going up, ethanol is substituted, now got to be put in fuel, and then food prices going up, poultry's getting hammered, beef's getting hammered, all this stuff's happening. It's the manipulation of the marketplace that never works, but that's what they want to do. Secondly, we know we've got to do something with this tax rate. I mean, how many here love the IRS? Anybody big fans of the IRS? I've never heard a candidate say, yeah, you elect me, I'm going to hire more IRS agents, right? And that's what Barack Obama is doing right now. Obamacare expands the IRS by 16,000 employees, not because they're imposing a tax, right? I mean, what else does the IRS do? And he says, no, it's not a tax. It's what, a penalty? I don't know what it is. But they're expanding the IRS. Instead, we should be doing away with the IRS, right? Fair tax, something like that. Empower the taxpayer. You realize the IRS is sort of like one of those only agencies where you're guilty until you prove your own innocence. Think about it. You get the letter in the mail, I mean, they're saying you owe it, there's penalties, there's fines, there's interest, unless you can prove you're innocent. I mean, that's how the IRS operates. But then thirdly, we've got to repeal Obamacare. I mean, 100% from the roots, pull it out, get it out. Right? And if we don't do that, you're going to see the economy continue to stagger along and stumble and eventually collapse a little bit more. We hear from business owners. There's up in LJ, we've got a constituent who has told me time and time again, if you guys don't repeal this, I'm selling all of my business. He has 6 franchises, very successful. Sell them off because I've done the math. There's no way I can afford to stay in business anymore if that one policy stays in place. So we've got to repeal it in its entirety. So how do we do that? 84 days. We've got to win. We've got to win. We've got to come back together. We've got to get through all these primaries and the runoffs, and then we've got to move forward united together for the right cause, and that's about America. That's about reigniting that American dream. I think about my dad, I shared it all throughout the campaign. He said, dream big, work hard, and achieve more than you've ever achieved. If you ask folks nowadays in a meeting, what's your dream? They don't know. You don't hear a lot of business owners saying, man, I got a new idea. I can't wait to get up in the morning and go to the bank, and they're going to loan me some money, and I'm going to go out there and start this new idea. You don't hear that anymore. Why is that? That's because the last 3.5 years of policies have slowed down the American spirit, in essence. Now, I will give it to, the president keeps saying that he inherited a mess, right? We hear that. He's been noted as the blamer in chief. I don't know if y'all heard that. He blames everybody for something all the time. Now, I'll go ahead and say that's not a leader. Leaders don't turn around and blame everybody. They actually look at the challenge, they cast a vision, they move forward, and they lead everybody with them. He hasn't done it. But think about this. President Barack Obama had the White House. He had the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, had a big majority in the House. They had the Senate, Harry Reid, they had a big majority in the Senate. 2 years to do their entire agenda, and they pretty much did it, all within 2 years. So he inherited a mess, got a blank check, did everything he wanted to do, and not one promise that he said would happen has come true. Not one thing other than big government. And he did say on the campaign trail, you'll let me operate more government. Government is the solution. But not one thing when it came to the economy where he said he would save or create so many millions of jobs. Or unemployment would be below 8%. Cut the deficit in half. Remember that one? The deficit is double. I mean, it is just boom. Added $5 trillion in debt since his inauguration. I mean, think about that. And this is the guy that ignores it. So why will he attack Paul Ryan? Why will he attack Mitt Romney? Why will he talk about tax returns, banking, and all this other stuff? Because he don't want to talk about jobs in the economy, the thing that he said he inherited and he would fix, because he hasn't been able to fix it. So it's our job to remind the American people, look, the guy was given a chance. He did his best. It didn't work. Let's move on. Let's try something new. And that's called, let's expand the American dream. Let's get back to who we are as Americans. This is really about the crossroads we're at as a nation. And I believe that this election is all about, are we going to build upon our greatness, or we're going to fade off into history. That is the choice where we are at right now. This nation cannot afford 4 more years of Barack Obama and his policies. It is time for us as Republicans, not just because of the Republican presidential nominee, but because of what we believe and who we are inherently, and that limited government vision that we have to empower individuals. That's why we must get the message out and work extremely hard to let Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan as the next administration of the United States of America. So I want to thank you guys. Y'all are awesome. You've been great supporters and friends of us, and God bless you what you're doing. And we're not far away. We're just over the hill. Let me know how I can help. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to attempt things. Great. Answered it all in 6 minutes. All right, we got Mr. Tony, and then we'll come forward here. All right, you go ahead. Go ahead. We'll ready.
Well, I don't understand how Congress cannot do anything. I mean, Pelosi or Reid gets in there and they don't do any work. Isn't it stated in the Constitution that they're supposed to pass a budget and stuff like that? How do they? If any one of us did anything like that, we'd get fired.
Right. Well, hopefully someone will get fired, right? That's the objective, right? No, you're absolutely right. For over 1,000 days, I guess it's your 1,100 days now, the Senate has not passed a budget. And I'll tell you this story that happened. I mean, this is how, really it works within Congress. Tim Geithner, y'all know Secretary Geithner, right? He was before us on appropriations in a committee meeting. And he was going on about the president's great budget, his plan for the future to save our nation. And I was like, look, I hear you, and you're talking about how great it is. I may disagree with you on that, but if it's so great, who is the lead sponsor of the president's budget in the House? Because we're debating budgets this week. We have the Republican budget, the Progressive budget, the Black Caucus budget. We had all these budgets that are being debated, and the Democrat budget. And where's the president? He said, well, I'm not sure who's sponsoring it. I said, wait a minute. This is the deal that's supposed to save our nation. It's this great plan you've been talking about in the committee. You don't know who's, surely you would know. You're like on the inside. He said, I don't know who it is. I said, why didn't you? He said, who? I said, no one. No one is sponsoring your president's budget. I said, but Mr. Secretary, I'll do my best. So myself and Mick Mulvaney from South Carolina offered the president's budget as an amendment to replace a Republican budget in the House. We debated the foresight, which we were just presenting all the facts. This is what it does. It increases taxes, spending, government, more this and that. The Democrats had to come and speak against it. They didn't have any choice. They're like, oh my gosh, these guys are crazy. You're taking the president's budget and they're offering it as an amendment. They had to speak against it. Of course, we're speaking against it too, indirectly. And the vote was cast. There were 423 no votes and 0 yes votes. So the president got a vote on his budget in the House. He just didn't have a Democrat to offer it. So, but that's how they're actually stepping back from the president. They realize this thing's going to work. They don't get it. So the Senate's in the same. There were even Harry Reid voted against the president's budget in the Senate. There was 97 of that in the Senate. But you're right. The Senate, we refer to them as the Obama Senate. They're inactive. They're not really doing anything. We pass a lot of good stuff. And some of them, I have to say, what we've been proposing is controversial because it has to be bold right now. America's got to have some bold solutions out there. Otherwise, we're going down a path that is going to be not retrievable at some point if we're not careful. So, and they just take it and put it on the table. They take Larry. All right, Larry. Trying to filibuster like the Senate.
We have to get back to this sooner or later. Being the eternal optimist as I am, on day one, that Romney is president of the United States, he's got a number of things, 5 or 6 things that he said he would do before the sun goes down on the day of inauguration. A couple things like sign the Keystone Bill, initiate the rebuild of the volunteer sentence. If you roll that forward, how long will it take before the economy starts to get off the life support and show some signs of revitalization, some signs of life? Are we looking at a couple of years, or are we looking at maybe months, or just a turn to take place?
You know, it's really hard to say, but just going off of the story of the gentleman in Gilmer County who said, you know, he was going to sell it. I would say that immediately on November 7th, you will see optimism. You know, that's what we're really missing right now. I mean, optimism is not there. For the first time you go into a big room like this, you actually talk to folks and say, I'm fearful, I'm scared. I mean, those are words that are coming from Americans right now. So I think you get more optimism back early on going into the winter, and then things will start to stabilize when they see that actions are being taking place that provides the stability they're looking for in the marketplace. It's a very unstable marketplace. There's no certainty of what's going to happen right now. Once that certainty is firmed up, then I mean, how does that ripple through the economy? I really don't know that, but I mean, there's some big stuff out there. I mean, these taxes. I mean, we're trying to stop the tax hikes right now. You know, Ron wants taxes go up on everybody at the end of the year. We passed it out of the House, sitting in the Senate right now. The tax rates the same. We're not saying, look, cutting taxes. We're just saying, don't let it go up. Let's just at least say, can we agree? You know, compromise, whatever you want to call it. You know, we'll say, okay, they don't go up. We'd rather them go down. You want them to go up? Let's just say they stay the same. They wouldn't even do that.
So you're actually more optimistic than I am. I'm talking about doing it on January the 21st. You said November the 7th, we might see some positive development.
You'll see the lame duck will be a very aggressive lame duck. I can only imagine. Yes, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, or because so much expired on December 31st. Our objective would be, and we've already been doing this, we've been showing this, and I'll say this is a move that is conservatives in the House. And I know Bill was saying that we've lost some battles at times. We have lost battles, but I have to say we've probably won more than we've lost. Because we've been able to move our conference and leadership position. Let's go ahead and take up some of these things before we get to lame duck. Let's don't wait till late. Let's go ahead and start moving things through. You'll see that happen earlier in the lame duck. You know, we've got sequestration work, defense being cut $500 billion, tax hikes, you got doctors reimbursement issues. I mean, it's just an amazing amount of stuff. I mean, one period of time.
Follow up on your thing about certainty. How, sitting in your congressional chair, how do you address being able ever to provide any kind of certainty, kind of like we used to know it? You know, now it seems like every 2 years or every 4 years, stand by for the drug gun and pull out money or could. What can instill a sense of certainty?
Well, I mean, none of us can really be certain of much, it seems like these days. It's a very up and down time right now. But, I mean, you see that on local elections all across the state. Incumbents being beaten in primaries. You know, so you're seeing it from 2010 on. It's been very, well, let's say 2006 Republicans lost the House. 2008, I guess, was the Senate and the presidency. 2010, the Democrats lost the House. You're seeing it cycle through. I mean, the American people are looking for the right combination right now, and they're very concerned about spending. If you think about it, there's not a lot of talk about social issues. This is all about our nation's fiscal health of our nation. I mean, that is the moral issue of our time right now. Are we going to continue with $16 trillion in debt and adding it just over and over and over in interest? I mean, it's rapidly growing every day. So I really don't know if it's when the American people find the right combination. It's probably the next certainty is there.
Do you feel House Speaker Boehner is aggressive enough in leading the fight against the liberal agenda, or do you foresee in November the House or the caucus electing a new, perhaps more aggressive speaker? I know there's a lot of talk right now, very recent talk about Tom Price, who's an aide from Governor how your thoughts?
You know, I can't really speak for the conference. There's 242 Republicans that come from a lot of different areas. I would say probably the majority of the folks understand the difficulties of the speaker's job. And the speaker of the whole House. Right. And the majority leader is the leader of the House Republican. So the speaker of the whole House has a tremendous responsibility to govern. And so I would say that he has done the best he can do given the environment in which by their definition is the House of Representatives. That's how they're redefining it. So, I can really speak as to what the Congress would do, but I think it's been doing the best to do in the environment.
How about Tom Price, the prospect of Tom Price being moved into the speaker's spot? I know there's Eric Hampton and probably some other choices, or probably before Price, but how would you feel about Price being moved to that spot?
Well, from my understanding is that he has an interest in a different leadership approach. I mean, that's.
You also sent out, in your press release the other day, you sent out a press release that said that you endorsed or supported the Job Protection and Recession Prevention Act. Talk a little bit about what that legislation would do if it were passed last time.
Which one was it? I'm sorry.
It was the Job Protection and Recession Prevention Act. I think it had to do with the tax rates.
Yes, the tax rates. The tax rates are set to go up at the end of this year, and in essence, double on a lot of those. Capital gains goes up, every tax bracket goes up, state taxes go up, all this explodes at the end of this year. So we passed a measure that kept them at the current rates, back to the stability and consistency in the marketplace. Because if you're a business owner and you're sitting here in August right now, you're wondering, what's my tax rate going to be in January? You don't know. We're trying to send a clear message. No, there's no changes in your tax rate. You can point and fall rate for business.
It's just maintaining the
Maintain it.
You get a repeat?
Yeah, well, the fastest talking stick over there. You're among the 435 members of the House of Representatives, so you must know Debbie Washington Show.
I've heard it.
You must know it really well. Is that one really as dumb as she's come to college? Is that just an act she's putting up?
There's cameras rolling in this room right now.
I'm sure you don't battle with him.
She is a spirited debater. I'll just leave it at that. I'd be happy to have her call you.
I have to say a few words with you.
Well, y'all are great. Thank y'all so much. And I'll hang around for more minutes with
Tom is a small business person in Pickens County. I can tell every time the bad news out of Washington. Business gets a little better, bad news is cost. It takes, and I'm serious, it takes a few weeks and you see it start climbing back again a little bit. More bad news than cost again. I talk to other small business people, they experience it. They're the same thing. It is hard. We have one more person that has made a trip over to talk to us at this moment. We got about 2 minutes before we're going to cut into the debate that was about to start up in Ellington between the old Democrats and Alex and Socialists. I know you want to see that. But Raffazola has to get out here. 1 minute.
I can do that. I appreciate being here tonight. An absolute pleasure. It's good to see Tom Graves out. He's a solid conservative. Somebody who definitely has represented this district very well. We need to stop becoming complacent and becoming more involved. And that's what I'm doing here for. That's what I'm here for. Martha Zoller, she's one of those solid conservatives, again, that we need in North Georgia. She's a firebrand conservative. Of course, she's losing my train of thought here. Excuse me. She's a firebrand conservative. Of course, she's one of those that definitely is going to take on the message that Tom Graves has done for quite a number of years now. She's going to make sure that fair tax representation is up there. Tom Graves talked about tax reform. It's definitely something we need. Also, she's somebody who's going to pro-life. I know this is a big subject here lately, a lot, and it is definitely something that we need. We need solid, again, that solid representation out there for these messages, for things like this. I've got a map of prosperity right here.
essentially it lays out, it's per contract to you guys. And I want you to hold her to that. Also, I have little small pocket cards up here. It's kind of lays out again the differences between two conservatives, like Doug Collins, who's represented this district, or represented North Georgia very well, but there are some significant differences that need to be addressed. This does that. Again, these right here, I'm right over there, this is your contract to hold her accountable. I'm going to stay here till the lights essentially are turned off or they kick me out. Come by, see me, let's discuss these issues. Let's discuss why we need somebody like Martha Zoller. It's not somebody like Doug Collins. And let's get her to Congress to represent us and have that solid representation like we've had thus far. Thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it up, and again, I'm going to be right over here if you need me. Thank you.